You start 0-4, looks like it's going to be disastrous, right? Then all of a sudden, they start to pick up some steam, some momentum. Even with a terrible loss in Cleveland and a terrible loss in Detroit, like this team has been astounding second half of the year, and a lot of it has to do with Eberflus. So we should start with the head coach here, Bill.
Yeah, let's start with the head coach, because this has been a wild ride with Matt Eberflus this year. Like you said, started off 0-4, one of those losses to the Denver Broncos, the biggest blown lead in the 104-year history of the Chicago Bears. That put them at 0-4, but suddenly they started playing better. Oddly enough, without Justin Fields, they start playing a little bit better. I'm not saying Tyson Bagent was the reason. It was the defense. That was the reason. They start winning a couple games. They kind of start hovering at 500 post 0-4. And then now they've won 4 of their last 5, and they are playing very good football. They're playing very good football because of that defense. The offense has been adequate, but the defense has been outstanding, especially Montez Sweat, who has, since he has been added, the defense is at an absolute another level. But Matt Eberflus, the assessment there, it's tricky. I mean, you brought it up. He's got 3 fourth-quarter double-digit blown leads. He has been up and down. He had 2 assistant coaches that had to leave the franchise because of HR violations, not because of poor coaching. The Chase Claypool disaster, he did not manage that well at the beginning of the year. So there are a lot of, demerits on his resume from this season. But if we're just talking results-based business, this guy has them 7-5 in their last 12 and won 4 out of 5 and have an opportunity to spoil the Packers season and finish on a very, hot note.
Bill, a lot of people thought that Ryan Poles and the Bears were crazy when they traded away a second-round pick for Montez Sweat because he was going to enter free agency. Was there kind of an under-the-table deal that they knew once they acquired Sweat, they'll be able to sign him to that $98 million in new money? Or what was the situation that kind of that kind of helped foster that trade through?
Well, I think Ryan Poles absolutely expected to sign Montez Sweat to an extension. This was not going to be obviously a rental. You're going to give up a second-round pick for this guy. You're going to make sure you keep him around. And that's the one thing I've heard about people who have been saying that Ryan Poles gave up too much for Montez Sweat. Sure, there's other edges you can get, but my understanding was that the Atlanta Falcons were also hotly pursuing him and would have given him an extension. Montez Sweat is from the Atlanta area, so that would have been a place he would have been happily to sign that extension. He was not going to reach free agency. So when the Chicago Bears had to, second-round pick, that's a steep price, but they did bring him in. They were able to sign him to that hefty extension, and his performance, you cannot understate what he has done for this defense. I underestimated how good of a player he is. He is a monster. I mean, I looked at this guy as a good run stopper who could provide a pass rush, but he has absolutely elevated what was one of the worst defensive lines in the league to a pretty good one. This is one that they get to the pass. They get to the quarterback now. They have decreased the traffic around the linebackers. Tremaine Edmonds was very pedestrian the first 2 months of the season. He's played very well. And now a secondary that couldn't get any turnovers was playing decently, but had, I believe, no interceptions through 4 games, is now leading the league in interceptions because of the pass rush Montez Sweat has provided. So this has been a huge boost for this defense. The Chicago media is calling it the Tez effect, and you cannot undersell it. It's been huge.
Bill Zimmerman, Windy City Gridiron Deputy Editor, Bears Banter Podcast. Okay, brass tacks on the head coach, then we'll get to the quarterback. Will Eberflus be back in 2024? And do Bears fans, including yourself, want Matt Eberflus back?
I think most Bears, they did not want Matt Eberflus back for most of this season. But, because of the play and the play of the defense and the wins here in the month of December, I think most Bears fans do want him back. I would say it's over 50%, probably 60 to 70%. And I do think that the Bears organization wants him back. Ryan Poles gave him a very strong endorsement around the trade deadline that, you don't see everything that he's doing behind the scenes. This is a guy we want as a part of our organization. Now, they haven't fully committed to him. Kevin Warren had a piece recently. He didn't fully commit to him. Everything's an ongoing assessment. So they haven't committed yet. You always have to wonder if the Packers win 45-10 here on Sunday, if that's going to change things. But I do think things are trending in the right direction for Matt Eberflus, unless they want to do something really bold and try and line up an offensive head coach with a rookie quarterback if that's the decision they try and go. But if they're not worried about trying to line up quarterback and offensive coach, offensive coordinator, then I would expect that Matt Eberflus will be back in 2024.
You mentioned a rookie quarterback. Does that mean it's a foregone conclusion that the Bears will move on from Justin Fields and potentially select Caleb Williams or anyone else with that first overall pick?
Well, this has been the wild debate in Chicago. I mean, Bears fans, the fans themselves are at each other's throats because there's a Fields contingent and there is a Caleb Williams contingent. It is very heated. And it is not cordial debates on social media. The media cannot stop talking about it either. And why not? This is a huge story because Justin Fields has absolutely improved this year. There's no question about it. When you just watch him and you just look at the eye test, you can see a better quarterback, one who's more in command, one who's making better throws, better decisions. He's still being sacked too much, but he is not being sacked nearly as much. The fumbles have decreased. The interceptions have decreased. Everything you want to see has gotten better. But when you look at the numbers, he is still middle of the road. His yards per attempt have dropped this year. His passer rating is about the same. He's still not bringing up big numbers in the passing offense. If you want to go into the advanced analytics, EPA per play, middle of the road, add in the CPOE composite, middle of the road, still, bottom half in the league. I think he's 19 or 20 in that right now. So we've seen improved play from Justin Fields, but he has not made it a slam dunk that he should come back, even with the better play of late. So then you sit here and you have to look at, is it worth trading down with that pick and getting the haul and pairing that with Justin Fields, or do you reset the quarterback clock and just go with Caleb Williams or Drake May, whatever your assessment is? And that's the big thing that I don't think a lot of media and fans are talking about in Chicago is the financial factor in this. That is a huge factor because just look at Daniel Jones. That was $40 million a year for Daniel Jones. David Mulugeta is not going to accept less than that for Justin Fields, who's going to need an extension probably in 1 year. You can pick up the 5th-year option, but then you're going to need to extend him, before the 2025 season. Are the Chicago Bears willing to pay Justin Fields $45 to $50 million a year? You're not going to have to top Joe Burrow. You're not going to have to top Justin Herbert, but you're going to have to pay this guy a huge sum of money. And are the Bears willing to do that? That's for Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles to decide. And that is a tight ship. We have not heard any leaks coming out about which way they are leaning, and I'm sure we're going to start getting answers. Probably not about Justin Fields, but we'll at least get answers about Matt Eberflus and offensive coordinator Luke Getsy next week.
Well, Bill, you've turned covering the Bears into a career, okay? So I ask you, as the representative, not just as somebody that covers the Bears, but a fan of the Bears, what do you want the Bears to do? Be honest.
I think the wise thing to do is to move on from Justin Fields and draft Caleb Williams. I would draft Caleb Williams over Drake May. There's that excitement factor. Drake May, you can't go wrong with Drake May. I think he's an excellent prospect. But I know people were throwing generational around on Caleb Williams. It's not so much that for me. It's where Justin Fields is right now. We're 3 years into his career. How much more growth is there to be? I think a lot of fans are hopeful that he can continue to, go up the ladder and continue to improve. But what if we're near the ceiling? What if the Justin Fields we've seen the last month is roughly where he is capable of great games, but not all the time? If that's the situation and you pay that quarterback $45 to $50 million a year, you're going to be behind the 8 ball because your quarterback is not going to be outperforming the contract. So I'd actually like to see Matt Eberflus gone as well and stabilize this team with an offensive head coach. I don't know if they're going to do that, but that's the direction I would go. We will see what the Chicago Bears do because it is, like I said, it is a hot debate in Chicago. No one really knows what's going to happen.
Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, or Matt Eberflus, Justin Fields? What's your answer?
Give me Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.